Well, we need to know a couple of things. Number one, we need to know how the world's premier law enforcement agency managed to lose 5 months worth of text. And what's also troubling is in the text we do have, they're discussing how to avoid text being captured and secured. So what's missing is important, but also what's there is important. It is manifest bias, not just against Trump, but against his kids, against his business interests. There's a text where they hope the Trump hotel fails. That is a level of bias that you rarely see and you never see from law enforcement officers. What's also troubling to me is this text that Johnny Ratcliffe found last night about this secret society. Now, I have no clue what that means because that was not the phraseology I used, but it's the day after the election, and it's the same two people that were discussing a little bit later in the text the damage they had done with the Clinton investigation and how they could, quote, fix it and make it right.
What's out there? Today is Wednesday, May 9th, 2018. I'm Papa Bear, and this is What's Out There. Of course, we've got Peter Kling with us on our regular Wednesday here. Good morning, Peter. How are you?
Good morning, Papa Bear. Doing fine.
Good, good. A lot of stuff going on here. The deal with the Iranian nuclear deal, and then of course you've got what's going on in Syria. I think what happened was Israel decided they were going to go ahead and attack them. You know, since the United States says, well, we're not going to go ahead and give them the uranium. And then we've had this nuclear scare for what, over 20 years. It's been since '92 that Benny's been talking about this nuclear weapon they've been building. So I really don't know. I really don't know what's going on. I know that Trump made North Korea happen, and of course everybody's sitting back baffled and asking why. And now we're going through the same thing with Iran, and all of a sudden the triggers go off again. It's like this is going to be different than it was in North Korea. It may or may not be. I don't know. But I'm not going to get my panties in a wad just, worried about it. Based on what we saw happen the last time, it doesn't appear like it's going to be too bad. What do you think?
Is Trump insane? His button's bigger. We got bigger missiles. He's going to cause a nuclear war with North Korea. Wasn't that what the political pundits were saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
And his strategy worked perfectly. And excuse me, years ago when I was doing international business or in the international business arena, the company I was working for actually put us through a special training in order to learn how to deal better with international companies, because that's what my bailiwick was, into all international companies.
Right.
And so they taught you how to deal with the customs of that country in order to have a better approach in sales. Well, regardless, the Koreans came up, both North and South Korea, and that they are the toughest negotiators on the planet.
Really?
Yeah, that's what the claim is, that the Koreans are the toughest negotiators.
Yeah.
So if you don't go in to negotiate, if you don't go in to basically threaten them with annihilation, you're never going to get the negotiation that you want, because they're going to get the upper hand.
Right.
And look at everything that's happened. Let's go right back to Clinton, since they seem to be the world's whipping people this century,
right?
And well deserved.
Yeah.
But go right back to the Clinton administration, where Clinton empowered North Korea to do what he's doing now, to do what they were able to do up to the point that Trump stepped in.
Right.
Every president has either ignored or enabled North Korea.
Exactly.
They've had zero effect. Trump comes in. My button's bigger than yours. Our missiles are bigger than yours, and they work.
Works. Yeah.
Now, what do you want to do? You want to talk, or do you want us to just fry your country and turn it all into glass?
Right. Exactly. And then we'll come back and we'll pick up the silica left behind.
So I imagine pretty much the same thing is what we see happening with Iran. Now, if you think back far enough, some of us might remember that Iran was a great ally The Shah of Iran was just America's buddy. And still, from that time of the Shah's being in power,
Oh,
the Iranian people still love Americans.
yes, we have a history with Iran. Remember, there's a big controversy about this too because of the NRA. Oliver North, remember Ollie North and the Iran-Contra deal, arms for
Yeah.
hostages, right? Well, Oliver North is now the president of the NRA.
Yes, indeed.
And there's a lot of controversy about that because of what happened back in the Reagan administration with the arms for hostages deal with the Contras.
I have no recollection of that.
You don't remember
I
that?
do not. I have no, that was his famous line when he was before Congress, I believe.
Oh yeah, yeah. I was gonna say, okay, yeah. Pump me up to
Now,
32. Go ahead. Yeah.
yeah. So, yeah, he was Reagan's whipping boy, and he took the heat for the administration. He sucked it all up and basically, said
Yeah, but
nothing.
we were involved in Iran way back in '53.
Well, we've always been involved in the Middle East because of the oil.
That's right.
Well,
Or
because of
the
the oil and
opium,
because of Jerusalem
the oil, the opium, the
or
silica,
Israel.
and Israel. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And now Israel,
If they never found oil over there, the United States would never have gotten involved.
Israel won't give up their nuclear information. None of it. They're not going to open up for inspections or anything. They're the
They
biggest.
totally are in denial that they even have nukes.
They are, but they have 'em.
Newsflash:
They have 'em.
Israel has over 250 nukes,
Exactly.
and as many as possibly 400. But then there's also the nuclear arsenal that the United States controls, and Israel
They're-
kind of has access to that too.
These people are instigators. They are the third or fourth largest military on the planet, okay? But then they want to use someone like us and then say, well, we started it. They'll talk us into doing it and then say, oh, well, the Americans started it. Is how that happened. They're instigators. I'm watching this happen. And
Oh,
I've
you mean
seen it
Israel?
Yeah.
Oh, well, there's a reason for that. You see, Israel is actually known as the house that Rothschild built.
Right. I hate talking about Israel because it's such a soft spot with a lot of people, but
Well,
people need to get past that mental block. They really do.
here's the thing: I'm not anti-Semitic at all. Okay.
Neither am I.
What I lived in a predominantly Jewish neighborhood when I was a kid. I went to school with Jewish kids. We played together. We played football, street hockey, stickball. We did everything together. We didn't fight. Well, no. There was one kid that I got in a fight with, and he wasn't Jewish.
Right?
Yeah, he was Greek. But anyway, I had
Why is
it was a very international neighborhood. As a matter of fact, one of my school chums from back then actually contacted me on Facebook, and he made the comment that I was in a neighborhood that was, or in a school essentially it was dominated by Jewish people and people from other parts of the country, other parts of the world. You were the only American boy.
Okay.
Thank you very much. I'll live up to that.
All right.
And yeah, not quite, but I was not Jewish.
Right.
And I was from America, and I was the extreme minority. So think about that. And I didn't have any issues with any of the people except the one kid that was Greek. That was it.
What gets me is if you make a statement and someone who it doesn't affect at all thinks it may affect someone who's standing next to them, and they decide to school you on something they have no education on.
Oh yeah, I
Meanwhile,
get that all the
person-
time.
Meanwhile,
There's one other thing I want to point out here. During this same time period, my parents were very good friends with Now, my parents were Christian. They were very good friends with an Orthodox Jewish couple. We were all invited over to their house for dinner one night, and they had two young children, and they hired a governess, a very nice woman, to watch over the children, and she was Iranian. So we have Jews, Iranians, and Christians all sitting down at the same table, enjoying each other's company. My mother was so taken with this woman that she actually named my sister after her. The woman's name was Jaleh, which means morning dew. And that's my sister's middle name, Jaleh.
Huh.
And it was because of my mom meeting that woman, that Persian woman, direct from Persia. And this is 1969, 1970, around there.
Yeah, right.
So, if you can have three nationalities or three, let's say, religious differences.
Right, and that's the.
And everybody's sitting down at the table, enjoying each other's company, enjoying good food.
Yeah,
where's the problem?
That's the point I try to stress. We're slapping labels on people, but we're not treating them as individuals. And we need to look at them as individuals, because you can't slap a label on them and just say, well, they're all the same. It doesn't work that way.
The only thing that I've been able to slap a label on are the French. And, hey, if you're French, I apologize, but you French all seem to be arrogant. And I don't care whether you're French-Canadian or French or France-French. Yeah. All the French people I've run into seem to be very arrogant.
Yeah. And if you're offended, there's your evidence. Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway.
And it was funny. I was talking to an Englishman. This guy was like off the boat from England, and we were chatting with him. And the guy that I was with said, "Oh, well, he had family in Ireland. That he had just gone to Ireland for the summer to visit his family's, where the town that they came from and whatnot." And they were commenting, he really enjoyed everyone's company there. Everybody got along. And the Englishman said, well, most Europeans are all like that. We're all very easy to get along with, except for the French. They're a bit arrogant.
Yeah.
I had to laugh because he was like, yeah, thank you very much. That's what I noticed too.
And that's something else about Europeans. They're not afraid to spare your feelings. They'll lay it out on the table. Truth is truth. And that's just the way it is. Over here, it's like, well, we got to spare your feelings. We'll sugarcoat it for you. In Europe, they don't do that. There's no sugarcoating.
It's a bit more of an open society, but here's the problem with Europe, or with Europeans, is that they become so passive that they're willing to accept anything. And now they're in the middle of what's going to turn into an Islamic war.
Yeah.
See, the Europeans, because of 2 world wars, have essentially been emasculated. Right. Europeans don't have guns.
Here's,
as
Peter,
a general rule. I mean, there are some with guns over there, but not like America.
I was thinking about this last night. What if Americans, or actually the people of the world, had the freedoms that our Creator told us that we had, basically, or the ones that the Constitution guarantees, all right? If we actually gained those back, and you've got someone who's getting ready to go to motor vehicle to register their car, renew their license, and the teller says, no, you don't need to do that. And they look at him and say, what? Well, what happens if? And they try to reason 8 ways to Sunday to make sense of their enslavement that they just left. See what I'm saying?
Goes deeper. Yes, it goes deeper. You see, there's something about living where we do here in Maine, and I'll brag on Maine all day long. But and I'm sure that this happens in a lot of places, and it has to do with getting off the grid, being in a remote area, and enjoying your surroundings.
Yeah.
You can be you can be lost in the woods and be terrified, or you could live in the woods and feel very much at home and feel free.
Right.
And I have never in my life felt more free than the time that I've spent working on our off-grid project. It takes about 2 weeks to detox, and then you realize, wow, this is just so fantastic.
Yeah.
It's such a feeling of freedom. Nobody's in your stuff. It's like nobody's telling you what to do. There aren't any laws. There aren't any. You're following your own heart and living in harmony with your surroundings. Because if you don't live in harmony with nature, nature will come and bite you in the butt in a very serious way.
Oh, yeah.
Especially come wintertime in Maine.
but it's not at all like being in a city or in a town even. You know, if you're
Oh,
working in your yard, somebody walks by, next thing you know, you're hearing some noise. Out where you are, people aren't walking by. People,
no.
people barely drive by.
Yeah. And even here, which is fairly remote, I am on the grid now, and I'll be totally honest with you, I don't feel the freedom that I feel up on the mountain, which is only 20 miles away.
Right.
But still, there's still that sense of nobody's going to come out here in the middle of nowhere and get in my stuff, even if there is electric here.
Yeah.
The local town doesn't have a police department.
Right. Right. Yeah.
You
Same
know?
here. Well, Norway. Yeah. We've got
How,
three
how,
towns here, all bunched in together with a county, and all four of them, they put their heads together. But you get over into Hebron, and you're not going to find a cop, or Buckfield, you're not going to find one, or you know what I mean. West
yeah,
Paris. These are all immediate areas around me. You know.
yeah. The chances of a law enforcement vehicle even driving on this road are extremely slim to none,
I see a lot of
unless it's
undercover.
the game warden.
I see a lot of undercover. So there's something going on. They're undercover. There's a house up here. I call it the Halloween house because it sits on top of a hill. There's not a tree anywhere around it. It's all grass. And if you put the moon behind it at night, it would be a perfect house for Halloween. But I drove by
Well,
it a couple days ago and I saw three flags hanging at half mast. The American flag, the state flag, and there was another one. I think it was a red. It might have been Marines. And I'm like, there's something going on up there that's federal. And it goes all around, all over Hebron and Buckfield and Minot and that area. They're all over there, and they've got bases in there. And I'm like, it's no wonder they found out where I was. They're all over here. They're like a virus.
well, yeah, and the thing is to avoid the virus the best that we can.
No,
But
no,
you
they know
you
who I
know,
am.
and I know that living here in a more rural area
Right,
is a lot safer than if we walk the city streets. Now, hey, I feel totally safe in New York City and right on 42nd Street in Times Square. I've been there many times, late at night, during the day, and I feel totally safe there, to be honest with you.
right.
But there's a zillion cops around. There's more surveillance cameras than Carter's Got Little Pills. I don't
Right.
doubt anybody remembers that one, but anyway,
Oh,
regardless,
yeah.
the place is totally surveilled. The same thing. Oh, it's about 10 years ago, I guess, was my last trip to Amsterdam. And what I noticed in Amsterdam is you don't see policemen. Very, very few
Right.
policemen. They are there. What you do see are cameras all over the place.
Yeah.
And I used to travel through Amsterdam and through Schiphol Airport. And coming back to the United States, I always had anywhere between a 12 to 20 hour layover. So I'd go into town. And I was walking in front of the Queen's Palace at 2:30 in the morning.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah, and it's interesting that there's a little plaque on the palace that says "closed due to circumstances," and I'm like, "What circumstances?" Okay, whatever.
Circumstances beyond our control. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I wasn't there for more than 2 minutes, and two police cars showed up.
Hmm.
They never approached me. They talked. They chatted. I was photographing. I had my camera on a tripod. Was
Right.
taking night pictures of the area, and they saw that I stupid tourist with the camera. Okay, one totally disappeared, and the other one went around a back alley and then came out, and I could see the car, and they were watching me as I was doing my thing. Hey, it was 2:30. I'm in front of the Queen's Palace.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
Maybe we better keep an eye on this guy. But, it's not like I was approached, but there were surveillance cameras all over the place.
Right.
Wherever you went, there were surveillance cameras, and I swore that Amsterdam was the most surveilled city on the planet at the time. But that is the norm all over the place. We are being watched regardless of what we're doing, and if we know it or not.
Right. And now they're talking about doing retinal scanner banking.
Yeah, isn't that sweet? And it
Yeah.
started where? With the refugee
It
camp.
started with the refugees. Absolutely. Yep. And now I mean, And it's still going. That's still how they pay for stuff now. They don't bring anything with them. They don't carry any cards, nothing like that. It's all, and it's like, and you're thinking about this. It's like, where are they getting all this funding? They come here, they're asking for welfare because they don't have any money, but then they're doing retinal scans and they got money, right?
No, they've got Bitcoin.
Ah,
They don't have
crypto.
money. They
Crypto.
cryptocurrency.
There you go. Okay.
They have permission. They have permission to use something in order to sustain themselves.
Oh yeah. I had an idea crypto played a big part there. But then, of course, remember, crypto, you don't have to worry about tracing that stuff. It's kind of like, what, laundry money, if you will?
Well, yeah. What they're saying is that by using blockchain,
Yeah.
what they do is they take a retinal scan, identify, put all your information in, you're done. Now, you want to go buy something? You go pick up the items, and this is being done in a refugee camp, so it's not like they're going down to getting online and buying stuff at Amazon.
Oh, exactly.
Or going down to the local shopping mall and getting stuff. But once they go through this, they're given an account, and the food that they need, the clothes that they need, whatever's available for them to purchase at this refugee camp, and I want to emphasize that, it's all taken out of an account. So essentially, and I believe it's the World Bank or something that this is being allegedly drawn from.
Right.
And what they said is that by using this system, they avoid up to 98% of the bank fees in transferring that money. And as far as refugees, once they're on record, all of their information essentially goes up in the cloud. So regardless of whether we blow up their city, destroy their homes, whatever the case might be, we'll have all their information, and they'll be able to access it all just by doing a retinal scan.
Right.
Gee, thanks, guys. I appreciate that.
Yeah, yeah. And we mentioned about Maine and the small towns and stuff like that. When you move into Maine, and into a small town, in a matter of a month, everybody knows who you are. They pretty much know everything about you, where you're from, you know what I mean, your history, all of it, all of it. So believe me, if I come up, being up here where I am, believe me, I'm not laying low. Everybody knows who I am.
Yeah, pretty much. Funny thing, but my dad died almost 20 years ago, and my mom we basically lost the farm.
Right.
My brother and I had our lives, and my sisters had their lives, and so Mom was up here by herself, and we were living down in the city areas.
Yeah.
And supporting our families, making a living, doing what we had to do, and it was too much for Mom to handle. So it was like, okay, what we should have done is just put a lock on the place. But
right.
Mom needed to have her own money, so she sold it and then moved down. First she lived with me, and then now she lives with my brother, and she's enjoying life. But that was almost 20 years ago.
Right.
And we went down to the local town hall, and we had to get a permit for the garbage transfer station. And so the gal says, oh, we need your registration, and so we know what car is coming to deliver what garbage, making sure that that they're legal to do so. And so I give her the registration, and she reads it, and she still remembers my parents. And
Really?
she said, I knew a Peter Kling. It was my son's registration, and so it didn't say Peter Kling. And she goes, I knew a Peter Kling. And I said, I'm Peter Kling. She goes, I knew it.
Yeah. Yeah. They always come back.
20 years ago almost.
We always come back.
And so we're still living in the same area. We probably live about 10 miles from where my parents used to live.
Yeah.
And but yeah, the name is synonymous.
Yeah, oh yeah. But that's the thing. We always come back.
Yeah.
They pretty much expect it. Hey, here's a name that used to be here. They've been gone for a while. Keep your eyes open. You never know. That's
well,
pretty...
Maine was actually, I spent about 12, 15 years in Maine, all in the month of November.
Yeah.
1 December.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, but
with all the activities going on up here, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, So there's plenty. It's a sportsman's paradise, and so I have a long association here. But actually, home for me has always been the Smoky Mountains of North Carolina, even though I was born in New Jersey.
Okay.
So I've gotten around a little bit, but we still have the freedom to do that in this country.
Right.
And that's something that we may, if they're talking about, okay, well, let's put everybody on blockchain and give them refugee status.
Yeah.
Gee, thanks, guys.
No. You know what? No, you don't. You already know. You already know about that. If it's not in your hand, you don't have it. That's the way I am. A bird in the hand is worth two in the bush, right?
Yeah, I know we're headed for a break here in a minute, but what most people do not realize is that Walmart is an official distribution company, I guess you would call them. They're an official distribution company for the U.S. military. They can order anything up to a Black Hawk helicopter, and Walmart will deliver it.
That's right. And they'll deliver it through an underground hub. And it'll be picked up locally at one of their warehouses.
Yes, local pickup.
And it'll be trucked right to one of their warehouses underground. Okay? I mean, oh yeah. Yeah, they're pretty slick about that stuff. Why don't we go
see
ahead
if it
and
comes down to us having some sort of a natural disaster or unnatural disaster.
Exactly, yeah.
We're going to be getting our chips and cheese at the Walmart location.
Take us out of this. Take us into the break, Peter.
Folks, you're listening to What's Out There. This is the L&M Radio Network, and you are listening to Papa Bear and Peter Kling. We'll be right back.
There are days that the red pill is bitter in my stomach, but I can't get it back out. I think because I have to. I speak because I have no choice. I walk through this dark age we're in with open eyes. Listen to Open Eyes on LateNightInTheMidlands.com. And together, maybe we won't stumble and fall.
The L&M Radio Network offers a chat room for you, the listener, to connect with others whom are interested in the topics and guests that the L&M Radio Network brings to you. During the live shows, the hosts will even visit the chat room and chat with you, the listener. Click on the big red Chat and Listen button at the top of the website and join us. No subscription is needed at either lnmradionetwork.com or latenightinthemidlands.com.
Why subscribe to Late Night in the Midlands, you ask? Well, I'll tell you why. Late Night in the Midlands covers everything, and through the thousands of expert guests who have joined Michael Vera on his show, come pieces of the big puzzle, which started many years ago. Michael and his guests reveal information dating back to the beginning of time. To this very moment, Michael Vera not only brings you the best guests with the best information, but Michael is not afraid to call out those who are less than honest. You see, in this day and age, we need a radio show we can count on and a radio host we can trust to expose the truth one show at a time. So become a late nighter and subscribe now. Talk radio like no other. Late Night in the Midlands, bringing the truth back to talk radio.
Do you need toner for your Epson, Hewlett-Packard, Canon, Brother, Apple, or Sharp printers? Look no further than Laser Technologies. In business for over 20 years, they offer the lowest prices on toner on the web. They can also repair your laser printers and toners fast and easy. Call their expert staff today at 561-792-9600 or email us at service@laser-technologies.com for all your toner needs. All toner is shipped nationwide. Why wait? Get the lowest prices on toner. Call or email us today.
There is a better radio show, beyond that which is known to the people. It is a radio show more informative than others, and as timeless as infinity. It is the equilibrium between light and dark, between the sheeple and the paranormal, and it is heard at the base of man's ignorance and at the summit of his knowledge. This is the radio show of imagination, a show we call The Secret Teachings.
We are back. I'm Papa Bear. Got to put a shout out to the radio stations here, all our affiliates. We've got High Point Radio in the highest point of New Jersey, bringing us into New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania on 100.5 FM and 1620 AM. And 101.7 FM WCET Columbia Talk. We're also on the Paranormal Radio app and iTunes, TuneIn Radio. All the good places. And if you miss a show, you can catch us on YouTube at username What's Out There. You catch all the replays there. And we're back with Mr. Peter Kling. Welcome back, Peter.
My pleasure, Barry. One of the things that I absolutely love about being here, my son and his family are with me up here, and I look at my two of my three grandsons. The 4-year-old and the 2-year-old are playing outside. We have about an acre of grass around the house, I guess. And they play outside all day long. Yeah. And never worry about those two. They are totally loving life here. And all day long, they have a German Shepherd and a Rottweiler following them along.
All right.
So
yeah.
Nobody's going to bother them. Nobody's around to really bother them. So,
right.
I'm not worried about any of the neighbors or somebody coming by and kidnapping the kids.
All you're worried about is the wildlife.
There'd be a bigger concern that, a bear or a moose would come out of the woods or, a fox or coyote. But they like to avoid people and domestic critters for the most part.
Right.
But you never know when something happens. But those two boys are just loving life here, and this is something that they wouldn't have had back in a more, or let's say a less rural or a more urban or a city area.
Right.
And so I guess my point in this is that we want to do things which are conducive to life, conducive to our own personal independence.
Yeah.
Because really, that's what's most important, is our own personal independence. Right. Now, granted, we have certain rights given to us by the government, but those rights are vastly being eroded and taken away from us.
Right.
So, yeah, it's time for a change.
And that's
I maybe one that's not going to seem real good at the time.
Yeah, I'd like to kick in here. You mentioned bringing up kids in the rural areas and way out in the different atmospheres. A lot of people, when they're looking to move into a town, they're looking, what's the nice playground? What's a nice playground, You don't look for a nice playground. You build a playground. You build that in your backyard. That's what you have a backyard for. City life sucks. It really does. I mean, when you can't provide, when you can't make that play area for your children and for their friends to come over and play in, don't depend on the city to do it.
Well, here's the thing. The kids are out here playing in the dirt.
Yep.
You got to love it because this is organic dirt. It ain't city grime.
Yeah, but they're building up an immunity too.
Yeah, that's correct. Here's the thing. These kids have never been inoculated. They've never had a vaccination in their life.
Perfect.
Extremely alert, bright children. Minds always working, sometimes a little bit too good.
Yeah.
But with them, what we've just found out, just within the last maybe 4 months, is that there are organisms. There's actually an organism in the dirt, in the ground itself, which scientists have found out will destroy any virus that we may come in contact with.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah. Right.
So send your kids out to go play in the dirt and don't worry about it, as long as it ain't city grime.
Right. Unreal.
Yeah.
Peter, I'm going to jump subjects here for a minute. I was looking at this jobs thing. I like to go through Facebook and see what my friends are complaining about today,
Yeah.
And, of course, somebody decided they were going to complain about the economy. Nobody wants to do anything. Everybody wants to complain. But I did find something here on Bloomberg. And Bloomberg has a jobs statistic, basically. They say U.S. job openings are at a record high, and they almost match the unemployed workers, same amount of numbers. The figures are in sync with the Labor Department report last week that showed demand for workers remains solid. Employers increased payrolls in April, pushing the unemployment rate down to 3.9%, the lowest since December of 2000, and March job gains were revised upward. Wage increases, though, remain tepid. But there are jobs out there. There's a lot of people who are choosing not to go. They're you know what I mean?
Well,
It
they've been
doesn't
turned
pay.
into fleas in a flea circus.
Yeah.
You know how they train fleas in a flea circus? They take the fleas, they put them in a jar, and they put a lid on it. And so now when the fleas jump, they bang their heads on the top of the jar.
Yeah.
So eventually they learn not to jump, or at least not to jump so high that they bang their heads.
Uh-huh.
Now you can start hooking them up to little contraptions. But anyway, we are taught not to jump. We are taught to only exercise what we do so far. And so now you put all these people in a welfare state. You took away their incentive. You send them a check every month. That they're living in basic squalor, but they're content with it. They've learned to become content with what they have or what they don't have. And so they've become fleas in the circus, and they won't jump anymore.
Yeah.
And that's the situation. So, that's one of the reasons you can't do A without B. And what Trump wants to do along with this is reform the welfare state. Okay, if you can work, then get to work. If you have a legitimate reason why you shouldn't hold down a job, or at least be in the ranks of the employed, then I totally understand that.
Yeah.
Everybody's got a situation to deal with.
Yeah.
But if you're able-bodied and you're not doing something to advance your position, then you are indeed continuing to slide further back in life.
That's
and expect to find yourself totally at the control of the government.
That's right. And, a lot of people bask with they like their handicap because they use it as a crutch. Remember in the Bible, right? Jesus, will you heal me? Do you want to be healed? Right?
Well, you look at the woman who, now Jesus is in a crowd of people. He's being pressed from all sides. And all of a sudden, he feels power being drained from his body, and he says, "Who touched me?"
Yes.
Who touched me?
Yeah.
And finally, this woman, who had, if I recall correctly, she had a lifelong sickness, or a pretty long sickness, where she had constant bleeding.
Yeah.
And she finally confessed that she touched him.
Yeah.
And what did Jesus say? Your faith has made you well.
Yes.
You see, so that woman had so much faith. Now Jesus being pulled from, touched from all sides, got people all around him,
Right.
and all of a sudden he feels power being drained from his body. But this woman knew that if she could just touch his outer garment, just if she could touch his clothes,
Yep.
that she would be healed.
Right.
And
Yep.
she drew that power right out of him.
Yep.
Now, if she never put forth the effort, if she never strained to get through the crowd, to get her hand just close enough to touch him with the extremities of her fingers, she would have never have gotten healed.
Exactly.
And we have to do the same thing. You see, in life, if we're going to heal ourselves or be healed, we have to start exercising our personal power and have faith that we can do it.
Right. Exactly.
Barry, I'm living in a house that my son and I first looked at 7 years ago. Would have liked to have bought, but it was out of our price range. Couldn't afford it. But we saw the potential here.
Yep.
I don't own this house, but I'm living here now. Interesting how those things happen.
Yes. Oh, and that reminds me, I'm going to check on a piece of land here next week. 5-acre piece of land. And a deal. And a real deal. That's how you do it, right? I gotta get.
Hey, whatever.
I gotta get into something. This renting just doesn't cut it. I have to hang up signs when I do my show, and even those don't work most of the time. And but yeah, I've got to get to a place more secluded for myself. There's just too much pollution here. I don't know where it's coming from, but there's too much pollution. I keep myself indoors, and I rarely go outside. Rarely. When I go somewhere, when I have something to do, but for the most part, I'm in. And it's not good. I need to get out more.
Oh, absolutely. I'll hibernate during the winter. Not a real big fan of being out in sub-zero temperatures, but hey, that's what they make wood stoves for. Anyway, but now that the weather's changing,
insulated coveralls.
Yeah, it's like you get out and you breathe that fresh air. And what's nice, I see very few chemtrails here.
Yeah, you see them, but you're right. There are very few.
Yeah, it's not like you used to see them every day back in Pennsylvania. Very rarely did you not see. You wouldn't see chemtrails like on a Sunday.
Right. Well, in most cases, they'll spray them in New Hampshire and then they'll float in, and you can see the residue where they're floated in.
Yep, and they'll spray them right over the top of us, and they'll float out within hours, and our skies will be nice and blue, clear.
Exactly.
Yep. So, oh well, at least it ain't landing on us.
Right.
So that's another positive thing. But at least we're not getting a direct effect from it. It's going over the top and keeping on wherever it's headed. But it's contaminated the whole planet.
I haven't taken any time and gone to visit people in a long time. I wanted to do it last year. It didn't happen because things, held me back, mostly that van. But this year I want to do it again, but I've got so much stuff in the works that I don't know,
Choose your priorities.
Yeah.
Choose your, here's, I just told you the story. I wound up in this house. A friend of mine actually owns it. He wants to move out to Maine too, but he's got obligations back where he is. And he gave me a call a few weeks back and said, hey, plan on staying there for at least another year. Cool. We can get our project done up on the mountain by that time.
Beautiful.
No issues.
Yeah, exactly.
So, you got to love the timing on how things work out.
Yep.
And I treat this place like it was my own, and we take care of everything that needs to be taken care of, and I'm greatly appreciative. Nobody owes me anything, and I'm in a position where I don't owe anybody else anything except the Creator.
Right.
And it's being able. You see, I'll always bring this up. You never hear me talk positively about any religion.
Right.
But we are all spiritual children of the Creator.
Right.
Hence, we have the ability to create our futures.
Now, you said pick my priorities. It's like I have people paying me monthly for loans that I have out to them. And it's like, well, I've got to make receipts and the bookkeeping.
Yeah.
Bookkeeping has got to be done. It's usually right around the first of the month, and right now I'm waiting for a $50 payment. But I mean, yeah, I'd like to pull out for 3 or 4 weeks. It would be good.
Sure.
But then again, I've got this. Well, I got an appointment coming up next month too. So when I go, I'm not gonna stop in New England. I'm heading down. I'm heading to South Carolina. I'm heading to Ohio. I'm heading around. I'm gonna go to a few places. I'm not gonna waste
Don't
the
stay
summer.
don't stay on the coast for too long because unfortunately the Canary Islands are cooking again.
Yeah, well, that's why I want to head down the coast first and then head
Yep.
over to Ohio because I get that out of the way first. But I'm not
Yeah.
even going down 95. I plan on going 80, 81.
Oh, much better choice.
Much better, yeah. I've been both ways, and 81
Yeah.
is much better. Yeah, you hit a little piece of West Virginia, not much, but you
Yeah, it's
can.
like it's like between Maryland and West Virginia. Well, that took all of 45 minutes. Now
Yeah,
you're in
right.
Virginia for the rest of the day.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, it was a 2-day ride from South Florida. I spent 2 nights there, on the road.
Sure.
And the
So,
third night I got home at like 9 o'clock from South Florida to Maine. So that's the whole coast.
and now I'm going to give you just a little insight on what I do in setting up goals or choosing priorities. You set your main goal, and I'm talking your biggest priority in life. You set that out as far as you can, as far as you can see into the future. What do you want to do?
Right.
Okay, that's what you want to accomplish. You look at this through, and this takes meditation. This takes
What's it gonna take to
meditation.
get there?
You want to picture this in your mind's eye, essentially. You want to kind of daydream about this, and you want to make it very clear. I'll give you, well, let's use a car as an example. Let's say you want a new car. You look at every, you think about it, you feel the car around you, you even smell that new car smell.
Yeah.
It's like you are already there.
Yeah.
And you put every detail that you want. Now, that's your furthest goal out. Now, how do you attain that? Start taking steps backward. What do you have to do to attain that? Don't start where you are now.
Right.
Start at the goal and work back. Well, if I'm going to have that, whatever it is, if you're going to have a car, well, you got to have some money. Or you got to plan on somebody giving you one, or somehow winning one. Whatever the game plan is that you have here,
Right.
you back up. Well, let's say you want to purchase this car, so you're going to need money, and if you don't have money, you're going to need some credit. So you need to do two things: work on a job and work on your credit.
Yeah.
Save the money that you need. Okay, if you're unemployed and you really want that car, what do you have to do before you get a job? You got to go look for one,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And so that's basically the progress. It's not like, oh, I got to go find a job, man. It's like, I've got a goal in mind. Okay, now you've got a reason to get the job, to get the money, to get the car that you want.
Right. Now,
That's
you always catch this, you'll always hear this. Here's the catch-22, okay? Well, I need a car. Well, I need a job for a car. Okay, well, I need a job to earn money to get the car so I can go back and forth to work, to be able to drive back and forth to work. I got to pay for this thing, right? Everybody says, hey, yeah, I got to pay for this thing, okay? That's where me and myself and a bunch of others are different, but, everybody's caught in that loop. They're caught in a you got to pay me loop. That's the problem we've got. You've got to pay something. You got to pay someone something. Otherwise, you get nailed and you wind up paying even more along with that something. For the people who don't know how to handle it,
Here's the thing. You may need to buy a bicycle first.
Yeah, I've done that.
You may need to walk first.
Yeah. I rode a motorcycle in the winter. And I mean the winter in Maine.
Wonderful.
So,
Well, people ride snowmobiles, so as long as you got either studded tires or a clear road, you're good to go.
When it's all you have, it's all you have.
That's it.
You buckle up tight. You throw on the leather outside your insulated suit and pop on your helmet and your gloves, and off you go. Believe me, your suit's going to keep you warm if it's a good suit.
The point is, you can accomplish your goal if you really want to.
Right, if you want
We can accomplish anything that we want because we are children of the Creator.
That's right.
Now, there's one other thing. You see, I was totally clear about what I wanted 7 years ago. It wasn't necessarily this house, but it was to be living here in Maine.
Right.
It was to be living off the grid. This house isn't off the grid. Yeah, it would have suited our needs, but right now it's exactly what we need.
And Peter, that falls right in line with learning as well. Okay,
Yeah.
schooling.
And I'm
If
doing
the
somebody
child-
else a favor by staying here. So
Right.
it's a win-win.
Right. What I'm saying is, as far as this want goes, children who have no interest in a subject will fail it. It's only where they have the interest, where they want to learn, where they excel. That is the whole key to learning.
Ah, yes, indeed. And the younger the child, the less attention span they have. Now, my youngest grandson is just 5 months, or no, just 4 months, actually. And I will count with him. And he looks me right in the eye, count from 1 to 10, and he is totally focused on what I am saying.
Yeah.
I do that enough. When that kid talks, he'll be talking numbers.
Yeah.
He doesn't care for the alphabet too much, but he likes the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's interesting. They comprehend what's going on around them. And that's what we need to do, is take that kind of like pure innocent approach and start comprehending.
Right.
Something we all have lost is common sense.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a real quick
Uncommon
example.
sense.
Flat Earth. Okay?
Oh, boy.
You ask
Bless you.
anybody that comes out of the school system today, as dumbed down as they are, what shapes the planet? It's a sphere. What are you, nuts? Okay.
Right.
Then now we have all this whole conspiracy theorist group, I don't know, what is 2, 3, 4, 5% of us who fall into this, who are exposing conspiracies. Oh, never a straight answer. NASA's been lying to us forever. The Earth is flat, and it's a whole CIA psyop.
Yeah.
What percentage of the truthers, so to speak, or the conspiracy theorists are flat earthers? A third?
Yeah.
Maybe half? So the
is it that high?
CIA, through their flat Earth psyop, has created enough false information and stuck out enough memes and put out enough, quote, experts that they'd flattened out the Earth.
Well, you know what?
Now, if you're wondering about what shape the Earth is, just ask yourself, why do we have opposite seasons between northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere?
Right. And why do you have, 24 hours of sunlight, dead middle of winter at the South Pole?
And vice versa in the north.
With the north, yeah, got it.
Yes,
Put in your
so
plugs, Peter. We gotta close this puppy up.
absolutely. My point is, let's use common sense. Question everything.
Examine.
Never accept anything because Papa Bear or myself have said it. Go investigate and do the research yourself. And with that, I'm going to say, hey, if you haven't read it already, go read Letters to Earth. The future is yours. You got to create it. Love and blessings to all. Have a fantastic week, Papa Bear. Thank you for having me on. Folks, love and blessings. Have a great week. Fantastic week. And we'll talk to you again next week.
Thank you, Peter. This is L&M Radio Network at latenightinthemidlands.com, lnmradionetwork.com. The name of the show is What's Out There. Also, please head over, if you miss a show, please like, share, subscribe on the YouTube channel at YouTube. Username What's Out There. Thanks for listening.
Well, we need to know a couple of things. Number one, we need to know how the world's premier law enforcement agency managed to lose 5 months' worth of text. And what's also troubling is in the text we do have, they're discussing how to avoid text being captured and secured. So what's missing is important, but also what's there is important. It is manifest bias, not just against Trump, but against his kids, against his business interests. There's a text where they hope the Trump hotel fails. That is a level of bias that you rarely see and you never see from law enforcement officers. What's also troubling to me is this text that Johnny Ratcliffe found last night about this secret society. Now, I have no clue what that means because that was not the phraseology I used, but it's the day after the election, and it's the same two people that were discussing a little bit later in the text the damage they had done with the Clinton investigation and how they they could, quote, fix it and make it right.
What's out there?